Welcome back to another episode of Life of the Lost. I'm Megan, and today we're missing Sam. We thought it was best to divide and conquer. There's a lot going on this weekend. And right now, I'm in New York City, but when this episode drops, we will be in Minnesota. And I have Oreo over here causing absolute havoc. We were outside running. We did a quick 3 miles in Central Park, and it was really nice. We actually made it under 30 minutes, which was our goal. Never made it that fast, but I always wash his paws when we get home, and he's not a fan, so he's trying to rub all of the water and soap off. I mean, I did pretty good at rinsing everything off, but he's a bit dramatic, so there we go. All right, let's get into it. Highs and the lows for this week. I definitely have to say we can start with my low. And that would just be, it's been really hard seeing a lot of things that Sam has been going through lately. I know I touched on this last time I had the podcast on my own, but it was a bummer. You know, today he just went to the gym, and coming home, he got into like three situations where people were either like visibly afraid of him, thought he was like a delivery man or some other thing. It's just kind of a bummer. There's also this dude who kind of followed him home or stood outside our house the other day. It was the same guy who he got into an altercation with at the gym. You know, Sam was really sticking up for somebody at the gym. This one guy had just kind of come out of the blue and was just really mean to somebody and just really had a bad attitude. Was calling this person names, and so Sam stepped up and stepped in and stood up for the guy. And after that, this other guy just doesn't like him, and it's kind of freaky that he kind of stood outside our house and just waited there, and Sam asked him what the fuck he's doing, and the dude just stared. And Sam just waited for him to leave before he went inside. But it's shit like that. It's just, you know, sometimes you don't really know if you're doing the right thing, if you're not doing the right thing by stepping in, what will come from that afterwards, I guess. But yeah, that's been the low. It's been a really big bummer to see that he has to go through a lot of these things. And I think one of his biggest struggles is feeling, like he said on the last podcast, is he looks so Hispanic, he looks so indigenous, but a lot of the time he doesn't feel that way. And that is my low for the week. And my high is probably kind of just a little bit proud of myself for managing my mood, managing my levels of my emotions. Usually I'm super high or super low. One thing that helps me a lot is this new journal that I have. It helps me kind of understand how I woke up feeling, the affirmation for the day to kind of help me. If I'm struggling with something and a thought, I have an affirmation for the day that I write out as many times as I can on these 3 lines, just to kind of remind myself to kind of keep my head up or keep going, whatever the case is. And that's been really helpful. And then to monitor what I do. I think the one thing that used to always get me was not having enough time in the day and then feeling as if I have to do other things to accommodate other people, whether it's Sam or Maya or Oreo. Like there's some things that I have set in a day, right? Like when Maya's here, I have to get her breakfast. I can't not get her breakfast. I can't not skip that. I can't just be like, oh, it's cool, we don't have time. Like, no, she's a growing girl. She's got to eat. That food is nutrients for her to learn in school, for her to focus. I don't want her to worry about being hungry when she's at school. Just things like that. I can't let go. Which means when I wake up at 4, I have to get all of the things done that I have to get done, that I want to get done for myself, so then I can feel kind of accomplished. So when I do things for other people, I feel like, okay, like, Megan, you're all right. You did a lot of things this morning. Now you can focus on this, and you don't have to worry about all the things that you have to do. That's a real big thing for me. My goals, I don't like when other people get in the way of them. And I guess it's not that they get in the way. It's just the responsibility you have. Whether you're like a parent or a dog parent or a partner, there's just responsibilities sometimes you have to fulfill, and you don't want yours to get pushed out of the way because that builds resentment. And I think I can get myself into very big, deep holes of resentment. And it's so easy for me to blame other people. So when I'm waking up at 4 a.m, I'm like, hey, you have to get your shit together. And you can't blame anybody if you don't. That's your fault. That's on you. So I'm just proud of myself. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about. And I know I talked about Sam last time, but I kind of want to talk about him again a little bit. Not in a bad way, just in a dope way, because we're going back home to my family in Minnesota, right? When I think of my family, they're not perfect, just like every family. They struggle with their own things. They struggle with their own emotions, whether it's anxiety or depression or anger. But Sam is a really big champ when it comes to handling that stuff. He really observes from the outside and is really able to communicate in a way that I can't, to both my parents, to my brother. And I just really appreciate that, because it is so easy to get wrapped up in family drama. And for me, I don't have a way to kind of look from it on the outside. I mean, I guess I do a little bit now that I live in New York, and it's, I'm not there all the time. So when I do come back, I can see things differently. But it is nice having kind of, a partner right there who really sees things from a different perspective. And for me, that's incredibly helpful, because I get so lost in the things that are in the past, right? Well, an example would be, sorry, I'm kind of like out of breath from running. An example would be, say a situation came up, like an argument came up. I'm so quick in my head to think, I can't tell somebody, like okay, we'll get specific. I can't tell a family member that I feel bad for something that they did or something that they said, because I'm afraid of a reaction that I'll get. Why am I afraid? Because past instances have told me to be afraid, to be nervous, because this person is going to act like this, like they always do. They're going to say this. They're going to make you feel this way. So my defense mechanism is to either just avoid it at all costs and just suppress that emotion and like just put it under the rug, or B, lash out until like what I'm fighting about doesn't even make sense, because I just made a big like problem when I could have really just told somebody how I felt. And it's really nice when Sam's there, able to help me understand those emotions and feelings and say, okay, well, that might have happened in your childhood, that could have happened in the past, but you're in a different place now, and you need to learn how to use your words. Like, you're an adult. You have to tell somebody how you feel, and if you don't, and you shove it under that rug, that will come out later. And that's really nice to have somebody to kind of be brutally honest with you, because it's not easy. It's not easy when you feel like you still have some unresolved trauma, but probably self-inflicted trauma. I hate thinking that I have to blame childhood trauma all on my parents or my environment, because I'm an adult now, and I understand that it's my turn to kind of turn things around if I want to. So as I digress here into this thought, I just want to, take a moment to be grateful for Sam, because anybody dealing with any kind of family member or family members who they're not used to, you're coming into somebody else's house. You kind of have to put that respectful hat on and kind of take a seat in the back, right? Because sometimes you probably feel like it's not your place. But I do respect him for stepping in when the time is right, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows when we go there. Sometimes there is altercations and fights and things where I have to speak up or he has to speak up or whatever the case is. And I just appreciate him being there, being on this journey, and being accepting of my family, being able to navigate them and handle situations like a champ. Because if I were to walk into somebody else's family and they were like mine, I don't know, I would not be as eloquent as he is. I would not be able to vocalize how I felt as well as he does, and just really appreciate that. It is 4:30. I know him and Maya are going to walk in the door any second, but I'm only 10 minutes in, and I suppose I could talk a little bit more. But, oh yeah, I remember what I wanted to talk about. So, it is going to be February pretty soon, and for a lot of people who had these resolutions. Some people are still hanging on to them, and some people kind of let them go. And I think what I used to do in the past was when I had a resolution and I didn't keep up with it, I just stopped because I thought, oh my God, it's the end of January or it's the end of whatever, and I screwed up. I can't go back now. I can't get those days back. But I think it's really cool to be able to stop and start again, to be able to stop and tell yourself why you stopped. Recently, I was asked to do this. It was kind of like these affirmations that you did every single morning or night, and you sat on this affirmation, you wrote it down, you kind of wrote a letter to yourself, and then you meditated on these affirmations for 15 minutes every day. And it was a 40-day kind of cycle that you go through this, and you have to stay dedicated. You can't skip a day, and if you skip a day, you'll have to start all over again. And I did. I started all over again 3 times. Only for the 3rd time to realize after 6 days, 7 days in, that I just wasn't dedicated to this. I didn't have the right mindset, and I don't think I wanted it enough. So I stopped. And I kind of felt bad because I hate starting and stopping things. It makes me feel horrible. But I also realized there's a time and place for everything. And at that moment, I felt like I was ingenuine to myself. I wasn't doing myself any favor by doing it. So I know I'm going to start it again. When that comes up, hopefully I'll be able to be dedicated. And speaking of dedication and goals, one thing, I guess, to wrap that thought up, I know my mind is all over the place today, but to wrap that thought up, if you had a New Year's resolution and it's almost the end of January right now and you didn't do it, you didn't follow through with it, don't let it go. Like, you can't get back tomorrow. You can't get back yesterday. You can't get those things back. Just start it now. Just do it. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but I also realized lately, for me specifically, everything I do has to be cold turkey. It is really hard for me to build up to something. I have to just jump in that ice cold water, hold my breath, and hope that I got this. Because that's exactly what I did for waking up at 4 a.m. every morning, and it sucks. It is not easy. It is, some mornings are way better than others. But I also was kind of talking to myself or thinking to myself when I was running, and just understanding that this is really self-discipline at its finest. I had somebody, so I record myself every morning, kind of my morning thoughts, my 4 a.m. morning thoughts, and I post it on TikTok, and I don't really tell anybody about the channel because it's just kind of more personal. But somebody wrote one time, they're like, not to be rude, but why are you doing this? And it kind of caught me off guard because in the moment I thought I knew why I was doing this. And I had to step back and realize, oh, I'm doing this because I've never stuck with a goal. And this is really hard. And I had to pick something hard. I had to pick something that I knew would be beneficial to me. And this is self-discipline at its finest, because I really have to plan for the day, the next day as well. I really have to have my shit together, because if I go to sleep at 12 at night, it's not going to be a fun morning. I might have to take a nap or 2 during the day. It might hold some other things back. So I think picking hard things to do and just knowing that you can do it, knowing that you can start and stop again if you really need to, but just doing it. And I hope that people who had that goal and didn't stick with it, just, pick it back up. You got this. And that kind of leads on to my biggest fear with this goal, which is we have a night flight tonight. And we're not getting back into Minnesota for, it's going to be late. We're heading into a different time zone. And I guess I'm just a little nervous about waking up in the morning. Usually, I'm really when I get nervous, I can't sleep the night before. So I thought for sure last night I'd be up all night, just kind of thinking about that, pondering it, making up scenarios about how I could help it, how I could not, But I didn't. I slept soundly. I was like, yo, you got this, you got this, you got this. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And I still have to pack for all of us, except Sam. Sam's got this. But yeah, it's kind of a fear of mine, especially with events coming up, knowing that, all right, you made this decision, you're still going to wake up at 4, even if you don't get to bed till 12 or 1. But I am kind of just learning as I go. What this does, what this brings to me at day 365, if I sleep in on 366, I don't know. I don't really want to. I would love to be able to just keep doing this for I don't know, maybe the rest of my life. There's something about that time in the morning where it's silent. Sometimes it is so silent that it hurts. And my ears are I'm confused. I'm like, why is it hurting right now? It's really eerie almost. But I have to love it, especially on the weekends. It's my favorite because I know that Sam and Maya and Oreo are going to be sleeping for at least 3-4 more hours from the moment I get up. And that time to myself is everything. I might just sit on my ass and do nothing. But being able to turn on some music and being able to design or cook or meditate or read, that has been my saving grace. And it was really interesting in the beginning because Sam wasn't really understanding these daily goals. I have about 13 that I set for myself. And he was like, why don't you just focus on like soupe 100% instead of those goals? But what he didn't understand was that those goals are helping me build this itinerary, maybe itinerary is the wrong word, but build this, I don't know, I want to say like supply kit to have in my back pocket for when I do podcasts. You know, when you're reading books, it's giving you information. And when you have information in your back pocket, you're able to use it more in conversation, when you're talking to yourself, when you're having big thoughts. You're able to understand things more, maybe. And I really like that. I like being able to meditate because I don't know what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to meditate, but I always see things. I always kind of go on some kind of roller coaster and it leads me somewhere. It leads me to a beautiful art piece or a collage that I really want to do. When I'm super hydrated, one of my goals is to drink 100 ounces of water every day. When I'm hydrated, I wake up a lot better the next morning. I don't feel groggy. I don't feel full. I feel awesome. So I have these goals, and while they might not make sense to everybody, they're just the top 13 things I want to do that make me happy. And what is life if we can't just be happy? And the last thing I want to say before I wrap everything up is kind of going off that thought. So I work in a position where it's very production based, and I get bonuses based on the amount of production I do. So I can get a few $1,000s, maybe $5,000 if I work at 135% for the year, if my average is 135. And when I started, started getting into production and worrying about those things, I started at 130, 140, and I was like, yo, I could do this, and I can do that. But it's also taking me away from things that I want to do. If I don't have to work as hard, is that money worth it? If I can put my effort into other things that really make me happy, do I want to stay at that job forever? Is money going to help in some aspects? Yeah, definitely will. But tomorrow's not even promised. And if I worked full 12 hours today and really got so much done, what did that do for me? I can't tell you. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to run with Oreo. I wouldn't have had to have a long conversation with Sam today. He's been making breakfast in the morning, and we've been spending time watching either shows or just talking for an hour for either lunch or breakfast. It's really beautiful. I wouldn't be able to have those moments with him. I wouldn't be able to, be calm and get Maya ready in a calm manner. I don't like being rushed. And so I just think this week I was talking to Sam and I said, we could use the money. And he said, it's not worth it. No amount of money is worth it when you stop chasing your goals. You start chasing somebody else's. So I decided that from here on out, my production is probably going to be around 110, which kind of kills me to say because I'm like, no, you could do more. And I could. But I can also do more with Soupe. I can also do more with my voice, with my time, with my design, with making cool videos because those make me happy too. Spending more time with Maya, that makes me happy too. So it's this give and pull, right? But I just hope that everybody who's listening is chasing their own happiness, whatever that is. It's okay if it's working like 50, 60 hours a week because you love your job. That's dope. I know Sam always talks about how like he never wants to do that and he always wants to do music. That's dope. Just make sure it's something that you love doing. Making sure you stick with it even when shit gets hard. And it's so fucking cheesy when I'm like, oh, those hard times will make you see how much it's worth it. But yo, it really does. Those mornings that I just want to go right back to sleep, but I stay up, I'm like, oh, goddamn, like, this is going to be worth it because you're going to feel good about the amount of things that you got done. You're going to feel good about taking care of yourself. You got this. And the leading factor to those thoughts, my mind being as strong as it is right now, is Sam. If I did not have him in my life, I don't know where my mind would be. Because I can lead myself down the deepest, darkest hole and just sit there and not care about life, not care about things or anybody around me because I can easily blame people in my head and make excuses for everything, just like anybody else. But I appreciate his resilience. And I just hope that, people find partners to help them get through that shit. And then hopefully, once my mind is strong, then we'll be able to kind of bounce off each other. When somebody's down, the other person pulls each other up. I love that. But, all right, guys, I still got to pack for everybody and make sure we get some food in. Make sure everything goes pretty smoothly. We got Oreo coming with us, which I'm super excited. But we have to give him some anxiety medicine because he's not really a fan of flying. And, yeah. But I am really excited to be back for a few days, and I hope everybody has a super solid weekend, gets some work done, gets a lot of rest. Hope you take care of yourself in whatever capacity that is. And as Sam always says, peace. He says it so much better. He has that bass. Peace, peace, peace. All right, see ya.